In this video, we're going to be talking about Litecoin and Bitcoin on the weekly, daily, 4 and 1 hour, and some more time frames. But it does look like we're about to finally see the beginning of that pullback. You can see that on the RSI for Bitcoin, both Bitcoin as well as Litecoin. So we're going to be talking about that. As well, we're going to be talking a little bit about the sentiment of the entire market and if we are headed out of the bear market into the bull market. What's going on, everyone? My name is Tyler. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, make sure to hit that button and hit that other button, and we can just jump right into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about before we look at Bitcoin and Litecoin on the charts, I do think there's, a big move coming. We always say that. Everybody on the internet says something like that, but it does look as though it's finally going to be the case. You can see the red candle here for Litecoin. It's a lot more drastic than Bitcoin, but I think that's going to follow. Bitcoin sometimes tends to follow Litecoin in terms of its price action. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I do want to say another thing, and that's just about the overall sentiment of the entire market. And for that, I kind of want to look at the daily because I think that kind of just spreads the data wide enough that it becomes more interesting. On April 2nd, when we had that huge green candle right here, there was a distinct sentiment change in the market in terms of excitement. News outlets, media outlets, mainstream news outlets got, put some attention back on crypto, almost as if they are preparing to, they're excited. They want to talk about crypto. 2018 didn't really give them a lot of opportunities to get people excited. And so far, 2019, up until the beginning of April, didn't either. However, crypto is exciting and people are itching to get back into it. And the thing is, once cryptocurrency does have its next rally, in my opinion, I think that will solidify and legitimize crypto as an asset class or as a legitimate investment and a legitimate technology going forward, because a lot of people got hype in 2017 and 2018 brought a lot of downside, and I think it gives people a lot of room to dismiss crypto and be like, oh, it was just a bubble, look at that, it's dead, don't even pay attention to it. But after that mainstream exposure of 2017, which we never had before, the world never had that before on such a level, next time it blows up, it should be absolutely insane in terms of the reach, the amount of people that will have or want to get in, because over 2018, although the price didn't do anything exciting, there was a lot more adoption, a lot more ease of use and access for cryptocurrency that didn't exist in 2017 and prior. So the space has grown immensely. The technology has gotten better, thank goodness, as well, and that'll continue. And on the next run, which I think will be absolutely insane in terms of the actual price, I think the excitement is going to be very tangible, it's going to be very real, and it's going to be levels that we haven't seen before. And 2017 was obviously levels we never saw before, but there, this is it's like a train kind of going. It's very hard to stop, and once it does get rolling, kind of like a snowball actually, it's going to snowball like a snowball effect. It's going to just pick up so much ground and be absolutely insane. At least that's what I think. And I guess what I'm posing is, do you think that we are finally out of the worst of the bear market and headed into pretty much this snowball effect of gaining momentum, and then an absolute explosion? I do. I think that. That's why, it does require a lot of patience, obviously. This was around the area that I got a little, I guess you could say, hesitant to put out any content, just because this period right here from September to November was absolutely pretty much, there was so little price action. You can see on the chart how little there was. The price barely fluctuated here for an entire almost 2 months, I think it was. And then we had that huge drop, which really shook out a lot of people, I think, or at least made a lot of people turn away. I think I had to for a while as well. But, here we are 6, 7, 8 months later, and, the time is put in, meaning, for these things to change and get momentum, there needs to be time in between. It can't just happen overnight. We can't go from bull cycle to bull cycle. There has to be a bear cycle. There has to be cooling down period and everything like that. So with that being said, we can just jump into the chart. With Litecoin, obviously the Litecoin halving about 4 months away, I do think that'll have some impact on price, even if it's after the halving, which I think is historically what's the case. But you can see here, Litecoin has already pulled back on the weekly from 91-ish. Its all-time high, or its all-time high over the past few weeks was about 100. Right about $100 is where it found some resistance there. And currently it's at 78. but it is pulling back. Now, if we look on the stochastic, you can see the very tippy top here. Look at that momentum shifting down. Now, do we see it ever where, you know, it comes down to 90 or 80 and then bounces right back up? If we look historically, at least going back the past 2 or 3 years, not really. And for that, actually, I kind of want to shift to Bitcoin here, because Bitcoin on the stochastic is really doing the same thing. It's curving back down, so you see that momentum changing. Now, again, do we see it going from about 100 to 80 and then bouncing back up? Not really. This might be one of the only times back 4 years ago, almost at this point, from 100 down to 65 and then back up and then down. So we could see a situation like that, I think. Or we just naturally have to have a nice, clean pullback. We do see something, I guess, very similar here, going from about 95-ish down to about 70 and bouncing up a little bit before going down. But overall, even with these double bounces on the RSI, they do end up coming down. Or at least that's what they've done in the past. So we can probably expect something like that. So we are probably going to have a pullback. That was a long way of saying we probably are going to pull back. Going back to Litecoin, though, on the we can look at the regular RSI, and you can see kind of a rejection off the 70 there. You can see a clear downtrend in terms of that. So for the short term, I think we do need to pull back more. So I am, looking at this opportunity as potentially, after all of this happens, hopefully maybe a big move in one day to the downside. That would be a good place for me, I think, to maybe get in there. But contrarily, but the opposite to that, you can see on the RSI and the daily is actually bottomed out. Now you can stay at the bottom for a little bit, as you can see in the past that has happened. But the momentum might be shifting upwards a little bit. So does that mean we might see something of a turnaround in the next few days? Potentially, but what I would think that would maybe be a small bounce around here, and then ultimately we'd have some natural healthy pullback. Again, TA kind of can fly out the window in any second though, so you don't really know. Shifting to the 4 hour, you can see still under that 50 moving average right here, trying to get above that after it broke out 3 days ago on the 11th, and then on the 1 hour as well. You can see trying to get above that and trying to get support there, because again on the 11th it did break under that and it's trying to get above that. Litecoin, again, Litecoin seems to move a little bit before Bitcoin to seem to be a precursor, and again on the weekly you can see it's kind of pulled back a significant amount compared to the candle. It's already almost got rid of about half of that candle in this red candle. So I do think we still need to see a pullback on these weekly charts. On the daily, we might see some fluctuation, even to the upside, which is a possibility. But going to Bitcoin now, on the weekly chart, you can see that clear resistance, same thing on the 50 moving average right here, that resistance there, and again, the momentum shifting downwards. More on the stochastic, you can see how clear that is. Looks like it is finally curving down there. And then if we switch to the daily, the stochastic, again, similar to more Litecoin, hasn't curved up. It's trying still to, I guess, bottom out on the stochastic in terms of momentum there. But Bitcoin has not gone down to that 50-day moving average right here, around 4,400. It is possible we have a pullback all the way to there, and that would really kind of even out the stochastic and RSI and give some room for more movement on the daily there. So I think that would be, those are healthy moves. They need to happen anyway. But if we take a look on the 4 hour, interestingly here, we're still finding support on that 50 moving average right here. You can see that if I zoom in a little bit, still, again, testing it for days, 3 days now since April 11th, since that drop, but we're still testing that. And we have not broken through that just yet. If we take a look on the 1 hour to kind of see what's going on there, we are still battling that very much so, up and down really, getting over it. And what I do think we'll probably see soon here, you can see this kind of pattern playing out, continuous testing, probably within the next few hours, see somewhat of a downward move. Right now, we're not seeing that. We're seeing it coming up, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it'll probably get rejected off there for right now. If we, another clue for that, the stochastic is already up here at like 99, 98. It's probably going to pull back soon. This is on the hourly, so it's kind of more hard to, I guess, gauge, because it's on such a small time frame as opposed to the weekly. I would say ultimately though on the weekly, what we need to have happen is we need to see somewhat of a pullback and then continue upwards, I think. If we did not continue upwards and, say we didn't continue up, say we saw something like this, a bounce here, maybe a lower high and then down, that would be super bad. I don't necessarily think something like that's going to happen, because that would Oh man, if something like that would happen, that would it would kind of go against what Bitcoin has done in the past. Again, this is on the weekly, and Bitcoin's not really done anything like that in the past, and that would just be a very horrible pattern to play out. So I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I do think we're going to have a small retracement, maybe down to 4,300, maybe even slightly below that. But I do think ultimately, soon after that, within the next 1 or 2 weeks, we're going to have another bounce. Hopefully, during that bounce, we can break this 50 moving average and then really cement some support above that, and then that could definitely indicate the beginning of the next bull run, or at least the end of the bear market. Going over very briefly at the coin market cap, we see Bitcoin dominance not increasing like it was over the past few days. Coins, again, still kind of evening out. You can see the last few days very, very stable there in terms of price, very horizontal. The gains very negligible, and the losses very negligible as well. Basically, kind of the same in the last 24 hours. So with that being said, I do think that we're about to see something very soon. This weekly candle is definitely going to close red. It's not going to be a green weekly candle. And that's on Litecoin. And then again, we had, I think it was 7 or 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight green weekly candles, which we haven't seen since back in the bull market. The last time I think was, it was all the way back here in May of 2017. So 2 years ago was the last time we had 7 green weekly candles. So naturally, I do think we are in for another red candle. I personally think it would be something more like this, where we see some red candles, only maybe 2 or 3, but then continued uptrend, hopefully. I really think that's the direction we're moving. So with that being said, thanks for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that button and hit that other button, and I will see you in the next video.